Hello, good evening, and hello. My name's Tom Miller, and this is HRTV News. This week's top stories. Transition into full-time education. We find out all the goings-on in reception class. The long 6 weeks holidays are nearly upon us. But what happens if you need that extra bit of support? We take a look at the usual goings-on at HRTV. And make sure that you stay tuned. There's a special announcement at the end of the show. Hello, good evening, and hello. The fun and frolics of preschool and nurseries are over. It's time to get your children into full-time education. But apparently, reception class is still full of fun and frolics. Let's chat with our reception teacher, Mrs. Thomas, and find out everything that we need to know. Hi, Mrs. Thomas. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Thank you for inviting me.
So, reception class. Playtime is over then. Time for the hard work to begin.
What do you mean playtime is over? We work hard in reception and it's referred to, as you say, as playing. But when we are playing, we are investigating, experimenting, creating, constructing, thinking critically, adapting, overcoming, and being very resilient, laying the foundations for becoming a very independent learner.
So, Mrs. Thomas, tell us, what does a typical day in reception look like?
Well, Mr. Miller, a typical day in reception is very busy and very active. We start the day with a wake and shake, and as you get to know me, children, you will find out that I love to sing and dance my way through absolutely everything. So that's how we'll do it. This is followed by independent learning time with various activities around maths, literacy, and science. On to phonics, where we learn about our letters and sounds. More independent learning, which can be both indoors or outdoors. I prefer outdoors, but honestly, don't worry about the weather. We've got wellies and waterproof, so we can have lots of fun. Then it's time for a spot of lunch, followed by more independent learning, which could be looking at our surroundings or different cultures, and finishing the day quietening down with a story.
Wow, busy days in reception class.
Indeed.
Mrs. Thomas, how can I keep up with all of the goings-on in reception?
Well, Mr. Miller, in reception, we use two methods. Firstly, Class Dojo, the same as the rest of the school. I put photos throughout the day on Class Stories, showing what we've been up to, what sorts of things we're doing. I can also upload photos to your children's individual portfolios, which you can see and comment on. You can also upload photos to those portfolios so I can see what you've been doing at the weekend or in an evening. You can private message me on Class Dojo or just comment on the photos. We also use an app called EY Log. On this, we, myself and Mrs. Parker, make observations of what your children have been learning throughout the day and link them to development matters. You too can also make observations of your children at home during the weekend or in an evening and send those for us to see. You can also add comments to any observations that we upload to EY Log. So, with both Class Dojo and EY Log, there is no reason for us not to stay in contact with one another.
No reason at all. And with that in mind, Mrs. Thomas, do you have a message for the children that are starting in September and their parents?
I do, Mr. Miller. As you know, I'm quite a bouncy person and I'm really looking forward to meeting my new class in September and all of their parents. But in the meantime, keep watching HRTV and look out for my fabulous transition video, which will be uploaded later in the week. And I hope to see you all soon.
Mrs. Thomas, thanks for joining us on the show today. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. You're welcome.
Now that we've heard from Mrs. Thomas, I think it's a good time to meet some of the new reception children in maybe the cutest segment we've ever had on the show. In part 1 of our regular feature, maybe we should find out who some of the new reception children are in maybe the cutest segment we've ever had on the show.
My name is Lily. I'm excited to go to reception.
My name is Jacob. See you later.
Hello, my name is Jessica, and I can't wait to see you in September. It's gonna be lots of fun. Yay!
Hi, I'm Frankie. I'll see you in September.
My name is Taya. Hello, my name is Asha. See you soon. Hello, my name's Matilda, and I'm so excited for reception.
Summer holidays. In my day, the days lasted for weeks and the weeks lasted for months. But if you need a little bit of extra support over the 6 weeks, we may just have the answer.
Thanks, Tom. Hi everyone, I'm Emily from RTM's Breakfast and After School Club. Just thought I'd let you know that obviously this year we are running a summer holiday club again. It's always the first 2 weeks of the summer holiday, so obviously if you do need that extra bit of support during this time, we are here. Obviously things this year will be slightly different to other years that we've ran the club. However, I can guarantee that we'll have the same amount of fun. We are fortunate enough to have the presence at our summer holiday club of Mr. Mansfield this year, who will be looking to run some forest school activities with the children, along with Mr. Miller, and if you're lucky, Mrs. Miller too, who will always make sure that the children are fully engaged and having fun throughout the day. So if you'd like to get in touch, please get in touch via the details below, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you, bye.
Before our final story, let's head over to Robert Sutton Senko and transition expert Laura Wilson for the weather.
I'm sorry, I'm too busy.
Awkward. Just awkward. And finally, the television. The warm glow lighting up the room, snuggled together under a blanket watching your favourite show. Ridiculous! Read a book! Or watch the Holy Rosary YouTube channel. It's packed full of fun stuff to keep you educated and entertained for hours. Let's find out what happened this week on HRTV. The listening hour is still focusing on transition. If you missed it, go back and check it out. Mrs. Deitch read us the amazing poem The Spider and the Fly by Mary Howitt. Lots of different teachers took us around the world this Wednesday by reading us Shine by Melanie Joy Harder. Don't forget, every Friday Mr. Brogan talks us through this week's important updates. Make sure you know all of the information that you might need. That's all we've got time for this week. Thank you for joining us, and remember, loving heart, strong mind, stay alert. Before we leave you, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone that has tuned into HRTV News since we've started the show. Next week is our last show, and we thought we'd make it extra special by handing it over to you guys. I'm not going to do anything. What I want is for everyone watching to send in clips of you guys doing your best Mr. Miller impressions and reading stories. They can either be from the news, the real news, or they can be things that you've been up to while you've been off school or away from school, or if you're in school, they can be things that you've been doing in school. send them over to the usual WhatsApp number, which we will make sure we put in the link below. And we really look forward to choosing the best ones to make up next week's show.